I've received a lot of comments in regards to my previous video, Is Gynocentrism Biological? And I think I made a big mistake in my other video by not fully defining my terms. So in this video I'm going to fully define and expand my terms, and hopefully this will help alleviate any confusion and clear up some of the major points of disagreement. So the most popular definitions on gynocentrism come from wiki entries. So by avoiding those, dictionary.com defines gynocentric as, quote, focused on women, concerned with women only, unquote. And Merriam-Webster defines gynocentric as, quote, dominated by or emphasizing feminine interests or a feminine point of view, unquote. These are rather vague, and I think the most identifiable characteristic of gynocentrism as MGTOW identify it is male disposability. The female is to be protected, the male is disposable. The female is to be provided for, and the male is to do the providing. The female is valuable simply for having a vagina and a functioning uterus, and the male is only valuable insofar as he is useful to the female and for the society that exploits him. Now maybe I have my terms confused, and if I do, let me know in the comments section, but the way I understand gynocentrism is the presence of overt male disposability. In the comments section of my previous video, many people contended that because male animals will protect females from predators, or go on to hunt and fight while the females protect the young, and thus this proves that gynocentrism is natural and biological. I agree that these behaviors exist and show limited female concern, but I contend that these behaviors are mutually beneficial for both males and females, and thus is not gynocentrism as I understand it. For lack of a better term, let's call both these gynocentrism, but make a distinction between capital G gynocentrism and lowercase g gynocentrism. Stardust is good at coining terms, so maybe he can help me come up with something better, but for the time being allow me to define these distinct forms of gynocentrism. Lowercase g gynocentrism is characterized by a specific and limited prioritization of females within the immediate social circle of the male. Examples include a male protecting his mate, or wife, girlfriend, fuck buddy, etc., as well as the females in his extended pack, herd, family, or otherwise as the case may be. This concern for females is based on mutual benefit. In the case of the female mate, the female is allowing the male to reproduce, and providing a service that he cannot find elsewhere. The male is benefiting from the use of the woman's womb. Notice that in solitary animals, wherein children provide no benefit to the father, as there is no pack or communal structure, the male doesn't care about the female unless she's in heat and down to fuck. In cases where there is a pack or communal structure, the male does benefit from the increased size of the pack, as greater numbers mean the ability to take down faster or larger prey in the case of predators, and a greater chance of evading predators through the law of averages in the case of prey. Thus, the male does have self-interest in protecting his mate in particular, and other members of the pack or herd in general, but not out of a sense of sacrificial duty, but self-interest and self-preservation. Capital G gynocentrism is characterized as a generalized and institutionalized prioritization of women over men, wherein men in general must protect and provide for all females in general, regardless of whether there is any immediate benefit to the man or not. You see this most obviously in the white knighting and manginery of most males who will stand up for and protect women they don't know regardless of the context, and regardless of the possibility of subsequent sexual access. I contend that this behavior is not instinctual, but culturally reinforced based on a traditionalist foundation. These are learned behaviors taught to boys by their parents in ways such as that it's wrong to hit girls, that men should be gentlemen, and how noble and good it is for men to sacrifice themselves. Now, in the past, when we had an agricultural economy, having many children did provide a benefit to the man, because children would grow up and help the man on the farm and increase the family's income. Also, prior to the welfare state, children were the primary vehicle for retirement, as is still the case in underdeveloped countries today. Children were expected to care for and provide for their elderly parents, and thus children provided tangible economic benefits to the man, assuming he survived into old age, of course. However, those benefits have been almost completely eliminated. Most people don't work on farms anymore, and your children couldn't help you at your job even if you wanted them to. Welfare programs like Social Security, along with the high taxes necessary to fund them, have replaced the tradition of children caring for their aging parents. There is little to no benefits to a man to have children anymore, or to protect women. And what do you see happening in society? You see fewer and fewer children being born, and you see men starting to reject gynocentrism, which shows that gynocentrism is not biological but cultural, and as that culture breaks down, so does gynocentrism, at least on the individual level. Obviously, institutionalized gynocentrism will never go away as long as women can vote. but an economic collapse will take care of that sooner or later. So I'd like to do a little experiment with you, the viewer. I assume most of you have taken the so-called red pill and have personally rejected gynocentrism. If you haven't, this experiment won't apply to you. But assuming you do reject gynocentrism, I want you to ask yourself what you would do if you saw your mother, sister, girlfriend, or whatever being attacked or violently raped. Would you rush in and protect them? Or would you simply call 911 and wait patiently as the assault went on? I would imagine that if it was someone you knew, that you would attempt to protect them under normal circumstances. And yet we established at the beginning of this exercise that you reject gynocentrism. Now, I can hear you through the power of the internet saying something along the lines of, that's different. Indeed, I believe that it is different, which is why in my original video, when I used the term gynocentrism, I was only referring to the capital G kind of gynocentrism, the generalized, sacrificial kind, and not the personal, mutually beneficial kind. I personally don't consider the protection of one's family gynocentrism at all, but from the comments I received in my previous video, I will concede that it can be considered a form of gynocentrism, so until I find a better name for it, I'll just call it lowercase g gynocentrism. I do apologize for the confusion caused by my inadequate definition of terms, and hopefully this clears up things, and what I meant by gynocentrism being cultural as opposed to biological. On this subject, I watched a video from Razorblade Candy that was released today responding to Karen Strong, and at about the 2-hour mark, he goes into how gynocentrism isn't biologically determined. Now, I'm not saying that just because RBK said it that it's the gospel truth, but I will say that I'm not the only one out there saying this, and RBK has a lot of respect in this community, so take that for what it's worth. I highly recommend watching his video despite its length if you want a more thorough analysis of this topic. I'll post a link in the description that will take you right to the timecode regarding this subject if you don't have time to sit through the entire video. With that cleared up, I want to make an announcement. I'm going to be bringing back my Monkeynomics series, with a focus on how to help MGTOW become wealthy through principles of personal finance, debt management, and investing. I saw Bernard Chapin's recent video about options trading, so I know that these subjects are important to people. Link in the description. I won't be labeling these videos as MGTOW videos because they won't be directly about MGTOW, and I don't want to clutter the YouTube algorithm, so these videos will be under my Monkeynomics label instead. There's another aspect to this. I've talked before about solutions. I think that plan A should be to wake up as many men as possible, but let's assume that MGTOW remains a small movement, and never spreads widely. Is there a plan B besides claiming to be a transgendered lesbian? Yes, I think there is a plan B, and that's to become the 1%. The 1% really controls the government and the levers of power. So assuming that the forces of traditionalism and gynocentrism are destined to forever control the majority of people, the obvious solution is to be within the elite, and to control whatever government the people establish after the current one collapses. MGTOW are uniquely able to dramatically build their wealth compared to the average man, because all their income is for their own use. As I previously mentioned in my last Monkeynomics video, a single man can live on around $15,000 a year, and even with the average income of $50,000 a year, has over $19,000 a year after taxes to invest and grow. Now imagine if this MGTOW has been bettering himself through knowledge and experience and now earns $100,000 a year. He will have over $60,000 to save and invest each year, and with no wife or children to siphon his money away, he can watch as this easily grows to several $1 million over the course of his lifetime. What can a MGTOW do with those millions of dollars? Whatever the fuck he wants. Now imagine what tens of thousands of millionaire MGTOW can do. Now I won't be giving out any specific investment or portfolio recommendations, but I'll teach you the basics so you can do it yourself. Now you may be asking about my qualifications, and in the interest of not being doxxed, I'm not going to tell you about my qualifications. In fact, I don't want you to blindly trust me at all. I want you to be skeptical and I want you to do your own homework. If you know someone who works in the financial or investment industry, go ahead and share my upcoming videos with them, and see if they call bullshit or start taking notes. Anyway, I will do other videos as well, but I've been inspired by guys like Dark Knight and Nico Chowski, who've used their professions to help fellow MGTOW. And this is something I feel that I can do to help my brothers as well.